You're listening to Mystic Scribe podcast, where the page meets the mystic and the muse never sleeps. Today's show is Being a Writer, a journey through story, structure, spirit, and self. The journey of a writer. I'm Mystic, you can call me Angel. Let's talk craft, chaos, and the joy of creating. Thanks for stopping by. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Being a Writer, the show where we talk story, structure, spirit, and the stuff they don't put in the how-to books in the journey of being a writer. I'm a mystic. You can always call me Angel. And today's subject, today we're going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Yeah, it's that thing everybody keeps asking about. Do you use AI? Do you think it's cheating? Is it replacing writers? Well, these are all really good questions. So let's get real and let's get to it. So I want to make sure I'm clear in this conversation as we dive in together that this is all my opinion and my experiences as a writer and my experiences as a human being navigating where we are today. I live up in the San Francisco Bay Area here in the heart of Silicon Valley. So I'm very familiar with AI and the companies that are driving the technology out there for all of us. So again, this is all my opinion. So just bear that in mind as we traverse the subject of today's episode. So let's be clear. AI is here. The genie is out of the bottle and it's not going anywhere. So no, it isn't about can it be used to write, because it is being used to write. You can see it as you read different articles, as you read books, as you watch television, and as you watch movies. The more familiar you get, or the more passionate you are about storytelling, the more you can really tell when the driving force of a story was driven by AI. So again, how it's used versus just using it. Because tools are only as powerful or as dangerous as the hands they're in. And AI is a tool. And for those of us or for those of you that are like me, horror fans and sci-fi fans, the first place we go, where do we go? We go to Skynet, right? I am not alone with that, am I? The first thing we do is like, oh my God, here comes Skynet. Judgment Day is here. Come with me if you want to live. Yeah, that's like way out there, but you know, the tools are only as dangerous or as helpful as the person who wields the tool, okay? So can AI be a helpful tool for writers? And for me, absolutely. AI, for us in today's age, for those of us who've been around for a couple of years, remember old typewriters. When we had to take that typing class in high school where you're sitting in a room with a bunch of people with one of those old typewriters and you're just hitting the keys, learning to memorize where all the keys are. And we went from that to transitioning to word processors, which changed everything. And I remember being very young and not as cognizant of what was going on because I was so young, but remembering that there was some uproar around what it was going to do to people's jobs when that happened. And we went from word processors to computers. And we went from computers to editing software. And went from editing software to applications like Grammarly to help you with your spelling and your grammar as you wrote. All tools that helped refine and helped to improve the experience professionally and, for school and in all aspects of our life. And I remember those old days of typewriters when you did something wrong and you had to go back and actually white out or erase and go through this really complicated, what seems like it's so archaic now, right? This real complicated process of editing when you had to make corrections on the typewritten page. And writing a manuscript was a crazy, painful process as you organized your thoughts. So we go from having little stacks of paper that we had to work with to what we have now with the introduction of computers and laptops and tablets and all the things that we have to help us work through the written word today. So as far as for the writer, AI can be as helpful a tool that it is for anyone in any profession. It can help you organize, summarize, and even spark ideas when the well runs dry. You can get prompts. You can talk through ideas. You can research. And I'll talk about research in one of the episodes because research is actually my favorite part of writing. But AI is a ladder. It doesn't build the house, right? It's a ladder that the construction workers use as a tool to help them with building the house. So if you're the construction worker and use a ladder, the ladder's not building the house, you're building the house. So real writing comes from your lived experiences, your grief, your joy, your awkward moments in the middle school and your late night epiphanies at the kitchen sink. You can't prompt that. You live that. AI cannot duplicate that. So for those of you, and I've talked to many of you, who have watched television shows and movies and such, and have had an emotional reaction to it because it felt like it was missing something. It didn't feel like it delivered. You got to have that heart in the mix. And AI can't give you that. AI doesn't have a heart. So if you write the story with AI and nothing but AI, it is going to be missing. It's going to be missing a lot. Let me put it this way. In the last episode, I talked about Olympic athletes, how we watch them because we know what they've endured to get there. We respect them. We admire them. Now imagine if we replaced every athlete with AI. Flawless routines, perfect finishes, no sweat, no breath, no story. Oh man, would we still watch without those stories, without that fire, without that passion? We can watch the Olympics over and over again. Like when I was young, I'm a Gen Xer. When I was young, the Olympics came every 4 years. They split it up so we get it every 2 years, winter and summer. But when I was young, it was every 4 years. It was epic. The music would come on. We'd get excited. We'd find our favorite athlete and we'd follow them. And they used to do these profiles about these athletes. And you'd see the young skater that lives in her closet with her parents because they can't afford the big house because they're taking her to her expensive lessons and her rehearsals and her practices at 4 o'clock in the morning. And the runner who gets up at 4 in the morning and runs and does all this stuff because they got to go to work. You follow these stories and you get passionate about the athlete. And now when you watch the athlete, there's more than just watching them run the relay now. Now you're in it with them. Because here's the thing. Writing without humanity is just data. I'm going to say that again for you. Writing without humanity is just data. Storytelling is soul. AI can mimic patterns. It can organize beats. It can even start to mimic you if you work with it enough. But it can't tell you how it felt to have your heart broken at 17 on a rainy Tuesday, which is the core element and attribute for your protagonist in the story. It doesn't know what it's like to walk into a room and feel invisible. It can't recreate your grandmother's laugh or the way your voice cracked when you finally stood up for yourself against the neighborhood bully. Those moments, that's where the gold lives in your story. Because, my friend, that's where you live. And so, I'm sitting here recording my podcast. I have a studio in my home. I have to find particular times in the day where I can do this. And I usually have this time to myself, and it's usually very quiet. But for some reason, my cat has decided that now he wants my attention. So you may hear some noise. If you do, that's my cat being crazy. So anyway, those moments, that's where the gold lives in your story. That's where you live. Don't allow yourself to write stories without your heart and without your soul. If you have an idea, it's so easy today, especially for those who will say, quote unquote, don't believe they're writers. Take an idea and say, hey, I want to write a story about a young man who eats peanut butter sandwiches, and he's a vampire hunter, and he wins the girl at the end. You can put that into ChatGPT or Adobe and probably get a pretty interesting story, but it may not capture an audience. It may not light up a community the way a story would light up the community if you sat down and crafted the narrative yourself. It is work to write. It takes time. It takes motivation. It takes discipline, and it is work. If you are using the AI tool because you want to spit it out quickly, I get it. But that's why we have professional writers, right? That's what we do. We sit down and we create stories and we put the work in. If you don't want to do that, I really suggest that you work with a writer, with a coach that will help you develop your story versus trying to just develop it using AI. Use it as a tool, which is what it was developed for. But don't let it become your voice. Write with your hands, with your scars. Write with a part of you that still believes in magic. Because if you're lucky, that's what gets on the page. And so it's time for our little break. Okay, it's time for a quick break here to acknowledge our sponsor. And like the last episode, our sponsor is me. I have this really cool digital guide that I've created that helps you with the process of relaxation and focus and support through your writing process, whether you're writing or you're reading or you're just chilling. Essential oils are an important part of my process, and I really feel like they can help you in your process. It's natural, it's supportive, and it's a way to create a really, really cool space for you. I use doTERRA, and I have a link that I'll share with you if you are interested in making any purchases, so you can take advantage of some discounts. But what I've really created is this free guide, and the guide will give you a list of oils that are the best oils to use for creativity, for clarity, focus, for grounding, and yes, for joy. And also has some recipes of blending and how to best use the oils. It is a free guide that I've created. I will include the link for those of you who are listening on a podcast platform. You can find me on Patreon. I am Mystic Scribe on Patreon, and I've got it linked there for free if you'd like to check that out. But creating a space where you are able to flow free in your process is the most important thing as a writer. It can be so easy to be distracted in today's day and age with everything that's contributing to the complete overwhelm in your process every day. And what I want you to know is that you have control of your space. Take control of it, give yourself that support, and sit down and write and have a good time. And there's nothing like a really nice smelling house to make you feel like you've created something really exciting. That's it for that sponsorship break. let's get back into it. So we were talking about writing with your heart. And I said, write with the part of you that still believes in magic. If you are a writer, even if you write very serious drama, if you write detective stories, or you might write historical pieces, or you might write documentary pieces, your writing is magic. And you want to remember that everything you have to say is absolutely magical because it's coming from deep down inside you. So if you can play this game with me, and I want you to create just a simple subject, like I gave an example about the person who ate peanut butter sandwiches, and sit down and write something. Write yourself a couple of paragraphs. Then just take that same simple description and slap it in a chat GPT. If you come up with the same thing, then we could talk about that, because I'm not sure what to tell you if you come up with the same thing. But I promise you, as a society, we will not let AI take over the role of the writer, because the writing feels different. It sounds different. It taps different. So if you're going to ask me if I'm afraid of AI, I have to tell you that I'm not. I don't believe AI is going to take over any writer's jobs anytime soon. I don't believe that our society is going to fall for the AI machine and turn everything into AI. But at the same time, I do believe that we need to kind of be careful. For those of you Gen Xers like myself and older, do you remember when CGI got really big, like the really good CGI, and how everybody was scared that actors were going to start being replaced like old time radio, like it wasn't going to be important what you look like or how well you acted, because we can just recreate whatever using CGI. And here we are. Do we use a lot of CGI? Absolutely. Is it too much? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not enough. But has it changed the face of the industry such that actors and actresses are no longer needed? No. It's just a tool used to create where we couldn't create before. Back in the day, when they used to use finger puppets and like the old Godzilla movies, little miniatures and a guy in a costume, where today we have CGI. So the development of the industry improved because of this new technology. It's the same thing with AI. AI is just a tool. So use it if you're going to use it. Make sure that you do not cripple your skill by depending too much on it. And don't be afraid of it. But know, if you are a writer that's writing true to your soul and you're not using AI, you are the one that the industries are looking for, because you've got the talent, you've got the flexibility, you've got the innovation. So grow with that. AI hasn't changed my life. AI hasn't changed my writing. AI didn't live my life. So because AI didn't live my life, it can't write my stories. And I'll be damned if I let a machine tell my story better than I can. So that's this episode. I hope that was interesting to you. It was interesting to me to get that off my chest and say it out loud. Until next time, my friends, thank you for joining Being a Writer. I am the Mystic Scribe. Of course, you can call me Angel. Keep showing up, keep writing, and remember, there is no substitute for you. Bye-bye.